So what we're talking about here is you've got to get out and put people and processes in. And I am sympathetic to the fact that some of you could do that right now, and some of you need to really figure it out financially how you do that, and how do you start really small. I get it. You can't just back out. Well, you can actually. You could go to the bank, go and get $300,000 off your mortgage and do this thing really fast. You could do that if you're entrepreneurial. But if you're a bit hesitant, that's okay too. You might have to cash flow it and do it slowly, but you can't not do it. Because every year that goes on that you don't get yourself out of the business is another year you're chained to it. So you have to start this journey of putting people and processes in place to do it for you. And be okay with the fact that there's going to be mistakes. And there's going to be a culture that kind of, people that don't really fit the culture. And you're going to have to lose some margin. Like that's what we're talking about. They're things that come with what we're talking about. But it means that at some point, 1 year, 18 months, 2 years, 3 years, you're doing 6 times the revenue because the team are doing it with you and for you. And that's when you get to cash in. And the number is way higher than you could have achieved on your own. One of the cultures that creeps in with a lot of businesses is they get scared to lose money. It's the one thing you should be happy to lose. If you lose people and time and brand and reputation, that stuff hurts. Money, you just get more tomorrow. So you should be willing to put money out. And if you've got a fear of losing money, you can't scale a business. I'm not saying we intend to lose money. I'm saying that you can't win from a place of fear. And then when it comes to sales, like I'm talking about employing a salesperson. Now, if you can't do a full-time salesperson, that's fine. Get a part-time one or figure out some middle ground. But can you imagine the power? Fast forward to you've done a knowledge transfer, you've trained up a salesperson, they're doing it mostly like you would do it, sometimes better, sometimes worse, whatever. And they literally took your leads and measured it all. Wouldn't that be amazing if you actually captured your data on incoming leads, cough, cough. And then imagine if your salesperson, because this is their full-time job, not like you who do this, when you're driving, their full-time job, so they measure all the incoming leads, write down the inquiry numbers, track them, measure them through, put them through your 14-step process, convert them, onboard them, and then go out and do another kill. And then they report to you to say, today I made 19 calls, I made 3 meetings, and I converted this many dollars or units or whatever every day. And at the end of every week, they send us a week summary. Now, of course, you have to have that reporting if you're going to get out of the way, because you can't be out and in. So you put somebody in with a system and a process, and then you have them report to you so that you can find out whether it's going good, bad, or indifferent. Does that excite anybody to possibly have somebody that does that role? Yeah. Well, it's going to cost you. And I'll tell you what it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you possibly hiring the wrong person and possibly not. It's going to cost you some money, and so you're going to lose some margin. Until they outperform you, which is probably a high chance. Now put marketing and sales together. Imagine if you had a whole business development department. So marketing was happening, not by you, and they were driving leads and driving inquiries and getting conversions, and then somebody was responsible for converting those into paying customers and reporting all of that data up to you. How would you sleep? Better. See, this is what I'm talking about by getting out of the way, and some of you have already made the decision it's impossible. But what if it wasn't? In my study of the fastest growing businesses, I'm always looking for the patterns and the trends and almost the regrets. And the number one regret I see people vocalize is that they wish they had done like VP of sales much, much earlier. So somebody that leads the sales department of their organization, they so wish that they had got out of that way, way, way earlier than they did. They had to get out of it, but they dragged their feet, and the number one regret, they've got lots of regrets, but the most common that I see is they wish they had done their business development department and outsourced it, even at a loss, if they had to to be able to get that off their plate. Because remember, we're only here to shore up two things. What are they? Supply and... So you build a business development team, and they'll do all of the demand side for you. I would have thought you'd like breathe easy going, actually, it's not a bad way to go. Now, how do you fund it? I don't know. I don't know how you fund it. I know how I fund it. I sell stuff, and I use that money to fund it. That's what I do. And I just go without money for a little while because I don't have a fancy life, which is really easy to go without when you don't have a fancy life. All right, now when it comes to team, you need some capacity. And like I said, you can't save your way to wealth. So by saving a wage, it's costing you a fortune. Yeah, but you don't understand my business. No, of course I don't, because it's wildly different to everybody else's, isn't it? It needs customers and team and suppliers and products and cash flow. It's the same. Everyone's business in here is the same. So we need to get some team, some capacity. When I say capacity, I mean like people to be able to do the job, right? Some supply here. No point in driving up twice as many leads if you haven't got the ability to do the products and services. How many team do you need? 7. I was kind of going with just like March. 7 in March? Like, what if you did, though? What if you did something crazy? And your mind goes, but we can't. But what if you can? Like, I don't know. Remember, I never thought it was possible until it was. So you've got to get some team, and you need more than you think. And you want to be on the front foot with team and overemploy. Because it's kind of crazy to have a vision to be a big funder of the church and, be the part of the kingdom and be a big business person. To have that vision and dream and then like penny pinch in the short term, you just can't have both. At some point, you have to roll the dice. So overemploy. If you think you need somebody for 20 hours a week, get somebody for 30. If you think you need a 30, get a full-timer. If you think you need a full-timer, get 2. Or a 1.5er or something. Pull the money from somewhere. And if you can't, well then that's up to you to figure that out. But I'm saying that if you want to scale, and because by getting you out and putting the people in sooner, I'm keeping the momentum to get to the end game, which is much more revenue and much more profit. But if you decide to scale and then play slow, that'll be the most painful outcome ever, actually. In fact, let me put that into categories for you. If it was stay small, scale fast, or start scaling and get scared on the way through, that would be the worst group to be in. You'd be better off just to stay small. So you kind of need to commit. Rather than say it, start it, freak out, I've cost the money, they haven't made me $1 billion in a month, I'm out, I'm freaking out. Like, don't do that. Make a decision, I'm busting this thing through. Or stay small, or go big, but don't do the awkward middle ground. All right, when it comes to production, you need some equipment, some tools, some vehicles, and you've got to be able to quantify this. Like, when I start a new person, I need to buy them a Mac. Why? Millennials. They don't know how to do anything else. They need an iMac thing, right? I've got a team of 8 and I want to go to 28. That means I've got to add 20 people. And it's $2,500 just to start a new employee. So multiply that out. That's how much money I've got to invest in tech in the next 12 months. I've got to know that number. So I'm scaling up people, but I also need all the other things. Some of you guys need vehicles or whatever. Well, you've got to factor that into this. See, it's an investment. You're going to forego the profit in the short term, so you better get far more profit in the long term, and you're going to have a cost associated with doing that, and for whatever that looks like for you. And then there's the capacity issue, right? So you can't build a great business in your lounge room. You can use your lounge room, but after a period of time, it's not going to work. So at what point are you going to jump? You're going to make this jump. You're going to future-proof yourself. And if you use your lounge room because you can have one person work for you and then you can have two, that's fine. But they're going to be weirded out after a while stepping over your laundry and quit. So at some point, you've just got to make the call and just go and get a serviced office, even if you don't have an expensive office. Go and get the corner of somebody else's. That's still better than your lounge room, listening to your domestics in the background while you're trying to work and stuff. So it's a good start, but at some point it's not. All right, and then we've got to look at this, this concept of brand. Like, what are you doing to build your brand? And it's an investment you have to make. It's part of scaling. That's where your future revenue is going to come from. More people knowing who you are without an ask. And the hard part about this is the one, like I said before, that you can't see a cash-on-cash return. But you just have to believe me that it's the best use of your time and money. It's just untrackable. So I'll go back to 2015. In 2015, I knew that brand was the answer to all your problems. When people know you, they can buy from you, right? When they don't know you, they can't buy from you. And I knew brand was the answer to all my problems. And so I remember in 2015 thinking, I'm running some seminars around this country, but still no one really knows me. Handful of people, but nowhere near enough. And I want everybody in the world to know who I am. They can choose to hate me or not agree, that's fine, but I want them to have a chance by knowing who I am. So in 2015, I launched Business Greenhouse TV. I did 64 episodes of a TV show that I put out every single week. That was a company that would come and set up in the office. They would put all the cameras out, put the microphones on me, film, go home, edit, and load it to social media, Facebook and YouTube. I think it was like a $2,000 a month, like $500 an episode or something is what I found for this guy. Cheap. Just found somebody that had a passion for marketing and video and wanted to do it. None of those episodes had anything except value in it. I answered questions, people supplied questions, I taught from the Bible, 64 episodes. Then I put it out on social media and I paid advertising to push it into people's news feeds. It's the reason why most of you guys are here. And then there's some new products. Like get some time. Would it make sense that you went away for like a long weekend or something like that and you went to somewhere wherever you get creative, beach, bush, whatever, like whatever your thing is, in the aeroplanes, whatever you get creative. You just start dreaming up new products and new innovations and completely changing the way you do things and innovating. And you can't do that when you're like at the grindstone every day. Imagine if you just decided, like, I want the freedom to test random things. All the little crazy thoughts that you get. You go, yeah, I'm going to test those. I'm going to test if the market wants them. And I'm not upset if they do or don't. I'm just going to go through a period of testing just to find out, because it feels good to be creative, so I'm going to go test some things. So you go to the market, you go, hey, do you want this thing? No? Okay, cool. Do you want this thing? Yes. Okay, cool, that was a winner. Imagine if you just innovated. But like, everyone does it like this. Yeah, that's why you should innovate. It doesn't take much to stand out these days in nearly any industry because everybody does it the same, plus or minus 5%. And then, of course, there's the old culture trick. You need to drive culture. Where does culture start? Starts in here. If I don't believe it, then I have to put on a show every day. And you can't do that. If you don't believe your culture, then you're forced to put on a show and you'll drop your guard when you get busy and then the culture will disappear. You've got to actually fully live it out, live it, breathe it, and it will ooze out of you so much that it becomes contagious. And then you have to repeat it at every single opportunity and uphold it at every single opportunity. Because there's no point in setting a culture and then just kind of rolling with the punches, because a new culture will form and it won't be one you like. And it's subtle, but it'll get you later. I'm like that annoying teacher sometimes in our team meetings. I'm like, what are we building? Test it. What are we building? The most revenue-focused agency in Australia. Yes, we said it 3 days ago. Yes. Yep, that's right. That's what we're building. Got to hold it in front of us all the time. How do we operate? People first. Blah, blah, blah. That's our culture. Somebody comes in with a problem? Great. Here's an opportunity to show culture. I've got a problem. Great, let's fix it. Culture. I want my people to know, whether they stay with me or go, that I valued them as a human. Whether they're good staff or bad staff and I fire them, I want them to know that even though they got fired, I valued them as a human. Not because it's good for like reputation, because it's good. No other reason. I find it much easier to be kind than not. The not being kind thing and having to keep up the facade, it's just too hard. I've got too many other things to try and work out. So you've got to live that culture at every single opportunity, and it's your job. It will always be on your job description. And as it is right now with the team you've got, you need to be there. You'll be very hands-on with the culture. As you scale a business, because you backed out and you add a lot more team members, and maybe that's more locations or whatever, then the way you do the culture bit is going to have to be a little bit different. But what you never want to get is you don't want to scale the business so far that you are so far removed from the team that you can't live out culture too. That's a massive mistake that happens in most businesses. And it's not even that hard to do culture. If you've got 1,000 staff, for example, you can literally just block out 90 minutes in your diary once a month and have somebody on your team, because you've got 1,000 staff, so other people can do the work. One of your team could organize. They could go to the entire organization and say, if you want to have a meeting with you as the owner, we're doing 7-minute catch-ups. Here's a diary, book in. And then they just book in their 7-minute time slot. Because you're not there to talk about anything except them as a human. The rest of the people in the team, the senior management, will look after dramas. So you literally have a 7-minute interview where you go, hey, Shaniqua, so good. How are you? Are you enjoying your job? What can we do for you as a company? What can we do for you as an individual? Is there anything you'd like to tell me? Yeah, got a problem, whatever. Cool. Hey, you've been heard, you've been listened to, and I'm going to action this because I really value you. Next. Hey, Steve, fix that problem. How do you think they feel? They got 7 minutes with you in a 1,000-person organization. And even if they don't book in with you, the fact that you invited them to, how do they feel? Valued, included, blah, 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 blah. See, when you've actually developed a heart for people, you want to spend 7 minutes with them. You can't be spending 45 minutes with every one of your team. It just doesn't work. But you can condense it down and get real serious and real focused on what you want to achieve. I'll tell you what would happen if you ever built a business of that size and you executed on that strategy and in your mind it's like 7 minutes is not very long. Here's what happens in 73% of meetings. I'm prophesying here. I've never done it. Most of those people would walk into that meeting and they'd be like, I don't even need the whole 7 minutes. I don't want to take up my time. You're really, really busy. They would lead the charge with, we'll do this in 3 minutes and I'll get out. They just wanted to do a meet and greet. So you don't have to worry about the fact that it's only 7 minutes. Those people will be like, sorry, it's been 7, I better go. And that's what they'll do. Because people are good people, so they'll play by the rules. And if you have a 7-minute meeting and somebody's got a massive gripe that becomes a problem, what do? Another meeting. Hey, listen, that's a real issue. We're not going to get through that in 7 minutes. How about we get together with Terry and we do a bit of a 3-way thing, we'll jump on Zoom next week and we'll fix it. Does that make sense? We're talking here about moving quite quickly. You can probably see that. That's what's required. So I painted that picture with 1,000 staff, but do you reckon you could do it when you get to 15? Yes or yes? You could maybe make it more than 7 minutes at that point, whatever. But just find a way to engage one-on-one with the team intentionally without telling them a job they need to do or where they're missing the mark. Ironically, if you do have to have a conversation with the team around missing the mark, they receive it so much better when they know that just before that you cared about them enough to meet with them. So it's just better all round.
Well, hey, if you enjoyed that episode, would you do me a favor and hit the subscribe button below and hit the bell icon so that you get the alerts of all of the future episodes? It would mean the world to me if you would do that right now.